Nice to talk to you about craniosacral therapy. Yet you've been working with babies for exactly 40 years. You just told me.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you could describe your experience
Well,
for our audience.
yeah, so when I work with babies, obviously I work within the context of family. So mom may be there and father may be there. And craniosacral therapy, in my experience, is a beautiful way of engaging babies to actually bring in the gentle contact we do to start to notice what's happening with the baby. And craniosacral therapy involved out of osteopathy, but it is much more gentle. There's no manipulation here. It's really about this listening. We have listening fingers, listening hands. We're tuning into what's happening in the baby's body. We're coming into a relationship, an embodied relationship with that baby. And we're working with very subtle aspects of the baby's physiology and with what's trying to happen. So as human beings, we have an incredible capacity for self-regulation, for self-healing. But sometimes things get a little stuck. Babies are a little bit overwhelmed. And so by bringing in a contact, it's reflecting back to the baby what's being held there. And it enables the intelligence of the body then to respond to that. But it's like listening, but with our fingers. So it's very gentle, it's very relational, and we're very aware of the parents in that. Although we may sometimes physically work with the parents as well if that's needed, but it may just take a bit. So and everything is really worked with a sense of permission. So checking out with the parents, everything is as fine for them as getting contact with the baby and checking with the babies. It's okay too. Because, babies are so used to people doing things to them. So we're not doing something to the baby. We're helping the baby to move towards what's possible, but what may be needed a little bit through tension the diaphragm, pressure through the body from the birth. There may be many different things.
It's very beautifully described. Then I'm wondering, because there are many opinions about whether craniosacral therapy is suitable or appropriate for babies. Some even say it might be harmful. What is your opinion about it? What is your experience?
Craniosacral therapy in itself, I think, is incredibly beneficial for babies for all the reasons I just described. And we're not doing something to the baby. We're helping the baby to really access the self-healing capacities inside. And one of the reasons I began working with craniosacral therapy was because I was really interested in working with babies. Now, I've worked with, hundreds of babies and thousands of sessions. I've never seen any problems with that and difficulties with that. Many of the practitioners who work with babies and children, and I see the benefits. I don't see negative results from that. I would say, like any profession, you may have individuals who perhaps don't practice with integrity, who perhaps are getting a little bit inflated about what they're doing, and perhaps their intentions aren't so helpful. But that's not the therapy. That's the individual therapist, possibly. And I can't even think of any examples of that. But I want to hold that that's a possibility, that there may be some therapists who don't practice the therapy so well.
Yeah.
But it's the same in the profession, the medical profession. It's this question I just want to tell you something I've heard, which was profoundly moving for me from an obstetrician.
What?
A very highly regarded obstetrician ran a birthing unit in Hamburg. We were all conference together. I was talking about Hamburg to babies. He was talking about his work here. He's retired at this stage. But one of the things he said is, I have harmed many babies and many mothers using methods which have been peer-reviewed, accepted. And I went, wow. So here's somebody who's really high in their profession, a very acceptable profession, who's saying, we did lots of harm with methods, approaches which were peer-reviewed.
Right.
So it's like, we all need to learn. It's a wonderful thing about this guy, doesn't he learn it from that? And he just actually take that forward, basically. And going back to the cranial psychotherapy, I don't see that there are invasive, harmful methods like these methods that can use by the make do medicine. And yet, nobody's really saying, hang on to that. So I actually feel there's a kind of hypocrisy here. Says, yeah, we make it well, so don't worry, right? The therapy itself is not problem.
I feel some real fire in you when we're talking about this.
The fire is because I see the benefits. I see the benefits of the work. And you know, I've trained people to do this work as well. I've seen people go out and do really good work. For this to be rubbish by people who don't know about it, it happens because it's alternative.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, this is why I use the example of the mainstream. It's like, because something is mainstream and has been peer reviewed doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect. It's powerful. Then something that's not got all of that evidence behind it isn't necessarily some kind of quackery, which is messing with. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Well, I've heard you mention in your lectures that human babies are the most misunderstood beings on this earth.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know that you're a passionate advocate for helping us learn to empathically listen to babies and support them so they don't have to carry different traumas and difficult experiences into their adulthood and its later life.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you could maybe mention some of these benefits that you witnessed over the years, or if a parent is considering whether craniosacral might benefit their baby, what would be the signs, or what would be the general idea when it's beneficial?
Well, people come for craniosacral work for many different reasons. And in a sense, because we're working with the health of the body to try and facilitate what's already trying to happen, it's not necessarily once a particular symptom we will work in a particular way. We work with the baby as a living whole organism. And so the parents may come with breastfeeding problems, they may come with sleeping problems, they come with bonding problems, they may come with very often with a lot of crying. So parents come because they feel there's something left in the birth, and they've heard about craniosacral therapy, so they will come for that. And so why I say babies are very misunderstood is because they're so unobjectified. They're often treated like objects to be done to, rather than human beings to be listened to, whether it's with your ears, with eyes, or whether it's through touch. It's that we are listening to something very intelligent that's trying to happen.
Right.
And parents usually get it. Because they see the result. So often, parents will say, never seen my baby so calm. I've never seen, my baby's never slept like that before.
Wow.
So it's, the funny thing is, you often get a family come with a baby, And then, within the next weeks, they're coming they're coming for themselves. They're bringing their grandparents. They're bringing the dogs. Anyway, they're bringing everything. So it's like, the baby is like, really, they see the results. And so they're coming in, well, yes. Check it out. See the results. I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Well, I think you advertised some kind of good benefits for the babies to sleep better, to maybe cry less, digest better. It's a very important part.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, just to say this, there was some research with babies in intensive care. This wasn't specifically with craniosacral but the interfaces with them, where a certain group of babies, because they were in incubators, were fed very high. And they were fed food which is to promote growth, promote growth. And the others were fed normal food, but they were touched every day. Yes, which ones put on the weight quickest? The ones that were touched. Because as you say, digestion, it's like if our sympathetic nervous system is very activated, it disturbs digestion. So you can put all the good food in there. But the baby's not going to absorb it because the baby's gut is tense. So, and this is a very gentle relational touch. Again, it's very different from the objectifying touch. It's very different how to do something the baby as well. And the baby feels that babies aren't stupid.
Like for people who don't understand really the connection of the nervous system with the digestion, with the crying baby, that there can be a lot of residual stress after birth that the baby doesn't know how to integrate, and it can influence sleep, digestion, the body for the parents. Then craniosacral therapy really is good for the nervous system regulate.
Yes, so there may be, as you say, there may be stress left over from the birth, and the baby may be crying as a way of expressing that stress. But the baby is cycling in the crying, and the parents are feeling very helpless, so no one's really able to connect. So it can be that. It can also be that the baby's got all the compressions in the cranium in the body, which is still painful or causing tension. Maybe at a very physical level be impinging certain nerves as well. And we know, for example, with the cranial nerves, that there can be some inhibition or overstimulation of the nerves because of compression. So if we can work with this, then the baby is literally growing into a freer shape, both psychologically and physically and emotionally. So it's like we are working to free things up, and with the babies, because this is all very new and they are essentially very open. If we can work at this early stage, we release these tones, we release the stress. The baby grows into a freer shape. Freer inner shape. Of body and mind, and so. Starting early is I think very important.
Like a lot to make this very long, but if there are any parents or cheerleaders that really wish to support their baby, help the baby with whatever issues like that, and they are worried to entrust the baby into incompetent hands, maybe someone who doesn't do, like you said, some mainstream so like what standards work? Could you recommend some? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, I want to say that that kind of a skepticism is very wise. I mean, you don't want to just entrust your baby to everyone. So to meet the practitioner, find the practitioner to perhaps begin to explore this. You might go online to see a particular website, a particular person. Okay, it's somebody I could maybe could begin to trust. But as a practitioner, I don't expect people to just come in and trust me. I win their trust. I build a relationship. I explain. They see how I relate with the baby, and it's like, well, It's like they don't need some great stamp of approval from outside to feel that and see that. And the parents aren't idiots. They don't care. They're going to keep coming with their babies. They're not seeing with it. But, I've had parents come again and again and they recommend their friends. They don't do that because I've broken their trust. They don't do that because they see no results. It's crazy. It's human intelligence.
Thank you very much, both for maybe offering some wider view for parents who are trying to get oriented in this new field, and also for being such a passionate advocate of babies and their needs.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I hope it's helpful for the practitioners and the parents out there that can trust also what's actually really beneficial. You don't have to be afraid being the practitioners. First, just have you. But